Heather Gay, Danny and I are so excited to chat with you because it is pub week for your second book, Good Time Girl. How are you feeling? You're having a good time?
I'm having a good time. It's exciting. It's a little surreal, but yeah, super good time.
And it's so insane because reading the book and seeing how much you have like wanted, being a writer was something that you've wanted to do for so long. And now that you're able to do it not once, but twice. And as a New York Times bestseller, no less. That's like, how does that feel for you? Because that's not a thing a lot of housewives can say, or people.
Well, I mean, I had a moment when I was doing an interview where I said, you know, I want to be a writer, and I'd never like said that out loud. Like, I want to, and this second book feels like a step closer to that goal. Like, I love the process of writing. Doing it a second time made me realize how therapeutic it was, how fun, and how expectant I am of like everyone's reaction. You know, like I love that it's pub week because I want people to read it. I want them to love it.
And it feels like after Bad Mormon, what more stories could you tell? Well, it turns out you had a lot more stories
I have book
tell.
3, book 4, book 5 stories. This is going to be like a series.
Bad betting,
Yeah,
bad flatulence, bad, you got a lot of bads going on.
There are a lot of bads.
But there are so many personal stories in this book. And I read in a recent interview that you were able to really write this book a whole lot better than you could have if you were to include some of these stories in the first book, in Bad Mormon. Tell me about that and why you felt like you were in a better place to share some of what you shared in this book.
I think a lot of it was just unpacking, leaving the faith, and like the reaction of the community, and like honestly, like Bad Mormon was kind of a shock to Salt Lake, but now we've got Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We've got like Mormon moment is happening everywhere, so it becomes a little bit more of a safe environment to release it. But also, I just wasn't ready. Like I still was kind of under that lens of shame, and these are stories that I've never told my kids, never like shared with anyone, and so that kind of gave me the roadmap to what I wanted to write about.
Yeah.
And reading just about growing up, because of course you opened up so much about it in Bad Mormon, but with this book and also seeing some of the interviews you've done and promoting it, it makes watching you now on the show, or like in the past few seasons, how I love how you say so many of your actions were based on still trying to be the good girl, just like never to make anybody mad, and especially with everything with Jen, that I kind of, because I know you've said recently you want to put the black guy to rest now after this, but it makes sense that you were saying you just didn't want to be a disappointment or to let her down or let everyone down. So you're like, I'm just going to follow suit, and then you realize, oh, it played me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the wiring, it's hard to fight the wiring, and the indoctrination runs deep, and now writing the book helped me kind of process that and like have compassion and empathy for why I had the coping mechanisms I did, you know? Because when you're in it, you don't know you're in it, you know? You don't know, if you're a fish and you're swimming, you don't know what oxygen is, you know what I mean? And like, so you just never really know, and then writing it helps me kind of unpack it, analyze it, and move on.
Yeah, I love how so many of the stories are about seemingly non-special experiences that you found to be so special because you always knew that you wanted an extraordinary life. And going to medieval times or taking some handicraft classes from Miss Kelly Kirk, that doesn't seem extraordinary, but in your mind it was, because like that's how you always saw yourself and saw your life to be. Do you feel like those were all manifestation practices for what you have achieved today, being a New York Times bestselling author, being the star of a very popular TV show? Like, do you feel like that was
getting
kind
quoted by Congress?
Like, yes, like it's
being tweeted by the White House.
Yeah.
like when you look back, do you think that maybe you did manifest this in all those different experiences?
I mean, obviously it's been manifest, but I feel like the luckiest girl in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like I don't know how I got here, but I'm grateful I did. And like these were stories that stayed with me because they were moments where I like kind of chose this planned life rather than like what my heart wanted, you know? And like, I just feel like all of my dreams have come true, and I want to look back and like realize how I got here.
Yeah.
I know, it's almost, because the letter you share, and I think it's the second chapter, of where it's like all the dreams you wanted for yourself when you were so young. It's almost like, do you almost have like a heartbreaking moment where you're like, those almost didn't, only until recently they started to come true.
Yeah.
And you gave up on them a long time ago, it seems. Like, how do you feel like younger you, looking at you now, must be feeling?
Well, it feels, you know, I can't read that chapter without crying because it's my voice, and like my friend that I wrote all these letters to created a scrapbook for me and gave them back to me after my mission, so that she was just like, I could travel through it. And it was shocking to me how I was able to write honestly about what my hopes and dreams were to my best friend, but my missionary journals are like, you know, name, rank, serial number, God first, family, everything. And so that comparison to be like, I want to be a star. I don't want to be a wife and a mother. I want to live big, you know. That was like me being honest with myself for one moment in time, and to have it come back when it's all kind of come true. You know, there's heartbreak in that, and also, you know, triumph.
It's cool though, because reconnecting with your younger self, the woman you've become was the woman you always were.
Yeah, like wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
You know?
The girl gone wild.
Like, wait, what would your younger...
Lisa Barlow had it right all along. She did.
What would your younger BYU self think of this book cover?
She'd be like, girl, you should have been doing this for the last 40 years. You waited too long to bare your soul and to, you know, live your truest life.
I love it. But I love that you are making up for lost time, because
I am trying.
Yes, you are. And like, I feel like you're just, and even in this current season of Salt Lake City, you're just really kind of letting everybody know who you are. You're not taking any and you're kind of, I like that you're standing up for yourself in a way that maybe older, even watching past seasons of you, wouldn't have done.
Never.
Did that come in tandem with writing the book, or was it just a moment where you're like, you know, it's much time?
Well, listen, Bermuda changed a lot of things in our relationships, and it also kind of, the success of Bad Mormon gave me a confidence that I didn't have before. And I'm learning, I'm in therapy, I'm learning to have boundaries, I'm learning to have, you know, like, I'm learning that people pleasing isn't always the safest thing, but that's what I learned as a kid, that if you made everyone happy, then everyone would treat you well. And then you go on Housewives and you realize that's impossible, and you start to just kind of reconcile the two worlds.
I bet Bronwyn's like, damn, I wish I had met her last season when she wanted people pleasing.
I knew Bronwyn before the show.
Okay, okay. So she knew people pleasing.
She's been in Salt Lake, so that's
saw
what's rich about Salt Lake City. Like, our roots go deep.
Yeah.
We saw that she congratulated you in the comment section of your post about Pub Day. How did that feel, given the state of where you and Bronwyn are at currently on the show?
Oh, I mean, it feels great to have their support.
Okay.
Like a thrill, for sure, you know, and especially when they want to support publicly, you know.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
I would love for everyone to, you know, take those congratulations and send them throughout the world.
Which of your castmates have read the book? Have you sent any of them, or are you just kind of waiting to see who buys it themselves?
No, I've read a lot of the book to almost all of them.
Okay.
And I did with the last book too. Like there was chapters about Meredith and everybody in Bad Mormon, and so this one I read the chapter. It wasn't finished, but I read Angie's chapter to her mostly. And then Lisa, of course, her chapter, the Good Time Girl chapter, and all of them heard receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, because it's their story too. And they all contributed to the receipts, proof, and the timeline and screenshots of it, you know, because that's how that came to be. So yeah, they've read it, and there shouldn't be any surprises.
And you talk about your ex-husband in the book, and kind of just like, and I feel it is unfortunately a very relatable thing where people are realizing, oh, this marriage is not for me, but I'm married, what do I do? Did you have conversations with him at all before that, or did you have conversations with your daughters, like, to kind of be like, don't shroud anything, but I'm just writing for my, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Bad Mormon, I was really protective of my kids and pretty protective of him. And just even a few years of like financial independence and emotional independence, and my kids are older now. So I was thinking, I'm not going to write anything bad about their dad because I want to protect them. And then I was like, that doesn't protect them. Like, I can protect them by being honest about how hard marriage is and how hard being a mom is and how hard it is to like reconcile what you want with what your partner wants. And I feel like I'm protecting them by being honest. And they're old enough now, they can handle it.
And also, those are lessons that you want them to take into their own relationships, to be like, don't put up with anything that you don't want.
I would want my daughter 3 days in to be like, this isn't for me. I'll be like, I'm sending you a ticket. Come home, you know?
Yeah, totally. What have their reactions been to reading the book? We saw them reading on TikTok, which was very cute to see. I'm sure they're loving the book.
They're loving the book. The two younger ones were at home when I was writing it, so like I would write a chapter, read it to them, get their reaction, make sure they laughed at the right places. You know, it's a funny book, and I hope that that's what they loved most about it. But Ashley was away at Santa Barbara. She came home for Thanksgiving and read the book and couldn't put it down. And watching her read it and laugh and cry and love it, and like she hadn't finished the last 2 chapters, and she just sent me in all caps last night, masterpiece.
Oh.
And it hit, you know, when she said it. I just was like, this is so exciting. All the pub is exciting, all the press, all the compliments from the castmates. But when your daughter reads about her life and her history and calls it a masterpiece, like I just felt like, I felt like it was done, you know?
I love that. And the book obviously is already getting great press. One of the headlines that has been swirling around has been this: Monica Garcia, apparently she said that Sharif tried to kiss her, that whole situation. Jen shut it down, Sharif shut it down. But what I think what's getting missed in the headline is that it's not a claim you made, it's a claim that Monica made.
Yeah,
and
to multiple people.
And,
yeah.
and you are trying to illustrate that Monica is a liar. It's because I think some people are reading the headline and saying, "Oh, Heather Gay is making this claim."
Oh no,
is there anything?
I told that story like a true crime podcaster. I just took the information, all of it. I mean, I was Monica's friend until that day.
Yeah.
You know, it was so I took all the information as it came in and was like, let's look at this, because the timeline was long and it was a crazy, crazy story. And so I just told it as like a reporter would, you know, with not a lot of emotion in what went down, because those were her words, and that's the thing that she told multiple people, and they reported back to me.
Have you heard from Monica since that excerpt?
No, I
headlines?
haven't
Okay.
heard from her at all. We had our legal thing, and I only saw her at a deposition, and that's the last time I've seen her or heard from her.
Oh my God, it's been so much true crime energy.
True crime energy. But that was settled too, so that's great.
Okay, that's good. And I do love that you are, because you're going on a huge book tour and everything like that. Obviously, we're in New York. We love that you're doing it with one of our faves from Roni, Bryn. I feel you two are the good time girl. Like, you must be so excited to be doing
Listen,
so.
I am a Bryn stan from day one. But how about when her Louis Vuittons were in the escalator at BravoCon? I mean, we've had a good time together. Whenever we hang out, she's just pure charm, charisma, joy, and fun. And like, she's the best representation of a good time girl. And I'm so thrilled that she's gonna like, what is it called? Monitor me, or
Well, she's gonna
moderate.
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 She will be monitoring
Yeah,
you.
she won't monitor me, but she'll moderate.
I'm
I
like,
think
your
it's gonna
ankles
be-
look good. I don't think you need a monitor.
It's going to be so much fun. Like, she's the ultimate good time girl.
Have you been watching the Roni reboot? Are you a fan?
I'm a huge fan because
Okay.
I love seeing New York. I love seeing fashion. I love seeing these women, and I also know them personally, so it's fun.
And I love both of you have reunions coming up. So maybe
Yes.
I hope that this
Maybe
tonight
we'll-
you guys can have a moment of like, what should we do?
Yeah,
What's
help,
the game plan?
strategize.
How are you feeling going into the reunion? Because that is imminent for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great reunion. I think it's going to be a fiery reunion. I think that the dynamics have shifted so quickly, and they do on Salt Lake shift rapidly. But there's also a different foundation that we have as friends that makes for more drama, but also, you know, deeper resolution.
And well, speaking of friends,
Yeah.
one friend that you may or may not have said you kind of regret having at moments, the singing icon that is Britney.
I love Brittany.
Can I tell you something? I'm loving this season of Salt Lake City. I am loving her TikToks.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
I am obsessed
Yeah.
with
So good.
her.
So unfiltered. So she is like, she personifies like what I think of the Mormon woman in Utah. You know, she's just
You have
like
me moving now.
singing and dancing, and like she's just, I love Brittany, and she's been a joy to have on the show. I mean, she's does some indefensible things, but we all do, you know.
And because we went to the Van Leeuwen collab, the ice cream
okay.
flavor, y'all have a really good flavor.
Delicious.
It's so good. It's so
the
good.
flavor
French lavender, sea salt,
Yes.
caramel. Yeah, no,
I
delicious.
felt fancy
yeah.
eating it. But when we were there, some of your cast said that Brittany kind of is like Lisa's little puppet here and there for the rest of the season. Is that true? Does Brittany kind of listen to Lisa's commands to kind of mix and mingle?
Lisa's not a puppet master. Lisa's just a powerful voice and force. And she's also like, when you're feeling less confident, she's a great person to have on your side, you know? And it's like, I felt like I was dragging Brittany in front of the wolves. So like, I'm glad that Lisa's defending her. I think it's great. I think she deserves it.
Also at the ice cream event, we heard some spicy things from Miss Mary Cosby about Meredith Marks. And then we caught up with Meredith Marks at Bravo Fan Fest. She also had some spicy things to say about Mary. I'm still in shock over their fallout. What is your reaction, and what do you think the real reason is? Because Mary says it's Angie, but Meredith says that's not true whatsoever.
I think it's a lot of things, but I think we all feel sad about it because Mary and Meredith were very close. I mean, that was I mean, they were never frickin' frack, but you know, that's they were close, and Meredith was a very good friend to Mary, and I'm just loving that Mary's showing up and engaged and cares, and like that she's back.
Yeah.
And her relationship with Angie is very special, and I think that a lot of friends can relate to like friendships shift when you have someone else come into your life that you're on the same path, and it's just, you know, they're close, and their relationship is real, and I think that that's caused a shift.
Yeah. Another real, I was just going to say, another very real moment on Salt Lake City was obviously the conversation between Mary and Robert Jr. that is getting talked about in every corner of the Bravoverse at the moment. What was your reaction to watching it back? I mean, it was so emotional.
I mean, it was so emotional. I was sobbing. I watched it with my daughters. Like, it is very, very difficult to have honest conversations with your kids about drugs and to have them be so forthcoming. And Mary's reaction as a mom and as her friend, I was so impressed and inspired and moved, and I felt it like, I have chills right now. Like, I think we haven't seen anyone be that transparent and raw on television in a long time, and I think she did a remarkable job.
And it's that thing kind of what we were mentioning about how people are unhappy in marriages, but they don't like to talk about it. Drugs is also a taboo that everyone's like, oh, I just want to sweep it under the rug. Like, but if it's happening, it's happening. So it was so important that they both felt comfortable to have that moment for people who are suffering watching.
Absolutely.
As well.
And you do as a mom feel like it's something you've done, and I love that she was so honest about that, but I wanted to just reach through the screen and be like, you know you're a good mom because he's telling you, he's talking to you, and you're not saying, not in my house, get out. You're saying, I love you, I will find you, we'll get through this together.
And like you said, I loved how honest he was. Like, he was just really laying it bare for her.
Totally.
Which I think does say a lot about her parenting.
And it gives an opening for other kids that are like, maybe I can tell my parents too, and the world won't crash in, but I'll have an advocate on my side.
I'm so glad that Mary got her snowflake back. Like,
We all are.
I'm so happy. A lot of girls on your cast, when we talk about girls reclaiming their snowflakes, it seems like they could be open to Jen Shah doing that one day. We heard that Jen and Meredith touched base a little bit while she was in prison. Have you spoken to Jen?
No.
At all? No? Okay. Are we not interested?
I haven't spoken to her.
Okay.
I kind of feel it's almost a thing from just like reading your book. It's kind of like a cold turkey moment where I wouldn't want, now I'm your therapist, I'm like, I don't want you falling down into traps.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
address a lot of it in the book, in the chapter
Yeah.
Bull Shark and Poughkeepsie, like that. I kind of closed the chapter on Black Eye and my relationship with Jen, and I feel like I wrote it all on the page so that I could, turn a new leaf.
Yeah.
Would it be tough for you then if she did ever come back to the show?
I mean,
Yeah, maybe, possibly.
I mean, I've never even considered it because it's just not my reality right now.
Yeah, I mean, I love the current cast. I feel like we should keep this as it is for a little bit.
And when we see all the tumult in the Housewives world, it's like Salt Lake City, it's working, and we love each other, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
And I feel that's kind of even what you were saying, how special the area is, because you ladies all know each other, but everyone in the area.
It's small Lake City,
Yes.
and we call it that for a reason. There is not a lot of, we don't have the casting pool of other, franchises. We are a small, pretty insulated world.
Has it been so fun to cross over and mingle with the Mormon wives?
I mean, I don't see them that much, but just to see their success and see them kind of get their snowflakes in a way, as someone that had reality television change my life and the lives of my children, I'm definitely rooting them on.
And imagine 20-year-old you being because they're all the age when you were writing these books, begging or dreaming of something like that.
Totally.
And now they're able to have that happen.
And they dance in TikTok like I never could have done that at 21. I could never have they're in a different world of Mormonism too than I was. And I think it shows the progress and also shows kind of the temperature that's changing.
Do you feel like you kind of pioneered this space for them to thrive so
hard?
hard?
What was my season 1 tagline? Blazing a new trail. Definitely Housewives of Salt Lake City opened the door or pulled back the curtain on this world. And I think that's why there's so much success for shows in Salt Lake City, because we're a fascinating society.
And it's funny too, because it was taboo at first to kind of talk about Mormonism, and now we're.
I know.
Oh, I mean, yeah, right? I got trolled right off the page when I came out.
And something tells me you have more pages to write, so we're excited to talk to you for your 3rd book when that comes out. Because something tells me you're already making it happen.
It's already happening.
Yes.
Whitney and I had adventures in Australia that I promised her will only go in book 3, and they are stories to tell. They are good time girls living their best lives.